Ever wonder why North America is like a no-ape zone? Grab your jungle hats as we dive into the fascinating reasons behind this primate puzzle and uncover the secrets of our continent's missing monkeys. Okay, let's make things clear here. You're not going to find any apes, those big brainy animals, tossing banana skins around on the streets in North America. Now, you might be scratching your head, thinking, why is that? Did they just not show up, or did they decide it wasn't the right place for them? To start, we need to chat about what apes are. I'm not talking about your Uncle Jerry, who seems to climb everything in sight during family picnics. I'm talking about the real deal, those animals that are like the smart, sophisticated cousins in the animal world. They are much smarter than your typical wild animal. There are mainly two kinds of apes: the smaller ones, called lesser apes, which include agile creatures like the gibbons, who sing in high pitches, and then there are the big guys, the great apes. This group includes animals with deep, thoughtful looks, such as orangutans, gorillas, bonobos, chimps, and believe it or not, us humans. Yes, that's a surprise. Remember, calling an ape a monkey is a big mistake. It's as wrong as saying a dolphin is a fish. Apes are the ones missing the stylish long tails, and they have a lot more smarts than their monkey cousins who do have tails. Here's a bit of a history lesson. Once upon a time, apes roamed widely, even in Europe, but they never made it to the Americas. Why not? It's a bit of a saga, but essentially, by the time they could have potentially made the trip, the natural pathways had disappeared, the continents had separated, making it impossible for the apes to just swing or walk across. The chance for them to venture over had literally been washed away. The continents had moved so far apart that swimming across was out of the question, even for the most daring of apes. Let's wind the clock way back, around 55 million years ago, and you'll find the beginnings of primates appearing in North Africa, nowhere near America. Back then, Africa and South America were like friends who had a huge argument and drifted apart. So, by the time the earliest members of our primate family arrived, the continents were no longer neighbors, they were like two people sitting at opposite ends of a cafeteria. But don't be too sad for the Americas, they've got their own scenes happening. South and Central America are teeming with their unique brand of primates, ranging from the tiny, wide-eyed marmosets to the big, noisy howler monkeys. These are what we call the New World monkeys. They've been living their lives, evolving separately from their old world relatives in Africa for something like 40 million years. So even though you won't find apes there, there's plenty of monkey action and adventures happening in the treetops of the American jungles. Have you ever thought about why South America is such a popular place for New World monkeys? It's as if it became the eternal holiday spot for these furry creatures. But the big question is, did any of these adventurous animals ever decide to explore and move up to North America? It's time to delve into the intriguing history of these monkeys. Imagine this scenario: a group of scientists is navigating through the thick, insect-ridden jungles of Peru, just another day's work for them, really, and suddenly, they make an incredible discovery. They find old primate teeth lying in the dirt. But these aren't ordinary teeth, these are like the hidden treasures of the monkey world, aged about 37 million years old. After examining them closely, much like detectives at a crime scene, the scientists discover these teeth once belonged to the ancestors of African monkeys. That's correct, from Africa. Let's turn back the hands of time on our planet. The world was a much colder place back then, with a lot of the Earth's water frozen at the poles. This situation caused sea levels to drop significantly. The Atlantic Ocean, which separates Africa and South America today, was much narrower, almost like it was holding its breath, reducing to a fraction of its current width. Africa and South America were practically waving at each other across a small, watery gap. How did these adventurous ancient monkeys make their way across? Imagine a scene straight out of an animated movie, where they're floating on huge pieces of vegetation torn from the African coast by monstrous storms. These weren't just any old pieces of wood, they were like luxury floats for monkeys, providing scenic ocean views during their journey. And imagine there were small islands along the way, serving as rest stops for these intrepid explorers, offering a chance to stretch their legs and grab a snack, although this is more imagination than reality. Upon reaching South America, these monkey forefathers hit the biological jackpot. They landed in a verdant paradise, a vast, untouched buffet of rainforests filled with all the food they could eat. Back in Africa, their relatives might have been taking it easy, but here in South America, it was like hitting the jackpot in an evolutionary casino. This isolation made South America a unique and giant playground for wildlife, similar to Australia with its distinctive creatures like kangaroos and koalas. The New World monkeys thrived, evolving into the diverse group we see today, masters of the trees, leaping and dining on the abundant fruits. Now, speed up time a few million years, and the continents of North and South America finally meet, creating the Panama Land Bridge, like constructing the ultimate nature corridor. This event led to what's known as the Great American Biotic Interchange, where animals from both continents started exploring new lands, like guests mingling at a massive party of nature. However, here's the interesting part. Despite the new land connection, most South American monkeys decided they were perfectly happy where they were. They were living the high life in their rainforest retreats, relaxing on natural hammocks made of vines, and enjoying endless fruit. Why leave such a paradise? While other animals took the chance to travel and explore new areas, the majority of these monkeys preferred to stay in their own lush, green kingdom, making South America the unparalleled realm of the New World monkeys. Now, let's chat about Panama and the story of some adventurous monkeys who accidentally ventured northward, much like tourists who took the wrong exit and ended up in an entirely different place. So, a bunch of primates in South America are hanging out, and suddenly, they find themselves on a makeshift raft of leaves and twigs. Imagine a natural version of a cruise ship, but packed with bananas. These creatures had no clue they were on a non-stop journey to the north. This wasn't a planned luxury trip, it was an unexpected journey. Researchers have found old monkey teeth in North America that are more than 21 million years old. These teeth belong to an ancestor of the modern-day capuchins. However, it looks like these early adventurers didn't stay in the north for too long. Perhaps they didn't like the climate, or maybe they just missed the comfort of their tropical homes. The club of fossil findings in Central and North America is quite selective. There aren't many monkey fossils that have been invited. Now, let's talk about our more intellectually gifted family members, the apes, and their worldwide travels. Tracing the origins of apes is like solving the ultimate family puzzle, with scientists acting as detectives through studying bones, genetics, and old remains, not exactly postcards, but rather the fossil record and similar evidence. It's widely agreed that these tree-climbing, fruit-loving celebrities originated in Africa, made a grand tour to Europe around 20 million years ago, and then, akin to seniors heading back to Florida, returned to Africa about 10 million years ago. But there's more. If we travel further back in time to the Eocene era, around 40 million years ago, our early primate relatives were living it up in Asia. Imagine a small creature, barely larger than a squirrel, known as Aphrodisias, definitely not the next King Kong. This tiny animal may have been the pioneer of long-distance sea travel, floating from Asia to Africa way before such trips were fashionable. Back in those times, Europe was an ideal hotspot for apes, akin to a Las Vegas for our hairy relatives, filled with subtropical forests, perfect weather, and endless supplies of fruit. However, all good things come to an end. The rise of the Himalayas altered the climate significantly, transforming Europe's verdant landscapes into areas more suited to a character like Winnie the Pooh than to a King Louis. Consequently, our ape forebears gathered their offspring and ventured back to Africa in search of warmer climates. But that's not all there is to their story. Our hairy ancestors' lives were filled with more twists and turns than a daytime TV drama. One thing is clear, whether they were setting sail on accidental rafts or roaming the ancient earth, these primates were the original globe-trotters, leaving behind their legacy and dental evidence all around the world. Let's think of the world of primates like a big high school from about 25 million years ago. At this time, the apes decided they were too hip to spend time with the old world monkey gang anymore. It was as if they hit a growth spurt in primate high school and emerged without tails, carrying a new swagger, and forming entirely different social groups. Then there's Proconsul, showing up on the evolutionary scene around 20 million years ago. This guy was sort of the middleman between the traditional monkey pack and the up-and-coming ape group. Imagine an animal with a monkey-like appearance, living in the trees just as monkeys do, yet carrying around a vibe of evolution with no tail, a unique face only an ape parent could adore, and hands adept at grabbing both bananas and branches with skill. While scientists debate whether Proconsul was the definitive poster child for the ape team, they agree that it was making significant strides in evolution. Speeding up to the era of the Dryopithecus, the real rock stars of the ape world, active between 9 and 17 million years ago. They were the international celebrities of their time, ancestors to all modern great apes. Think about the selfie-friendly orangutans of today. The African Dryopithecus set the foundation for today's apes, while their Asian relatives were evolving into the red-haired wonders known as orangutans. Now, let's switch it up and imagine the primate basketball star. Enter Gigantopithecus, the towering giant of the primate high school. Picture something about 10 feet tall and weighing roughly 1,100 pounds, dominating the ancient forests. Despite its intimidating size, Giganto was actually a peaceful creature, mainly feeding on fruits and enjoying a laid-back lifestyle. But then, a sudden plot twist, the environment began to change. As dense forests transformed into open savannas, this enormous creature found it hard to find enough fruit to satisfy its hunger. The saying "the bigger they are, the harder they fall" applied all too well to Gigantopithecus. Its enormous size, while once an advantage, turned into its downfall. As the numbers of baby gigantos dwindled and food sources changed, this giant couldn't adapt. On the other hand, the more flexible orangutans just found different foods to eat. And that's the reason we can see orangutans at the zoo today, but can only imagine what it would be like to high-five a Gigantopithecus. Hope you enjoyed unraveling the mystery of the missing North American apes with us. Don't forget to swing that like button, share with your troop, and subscribe for more.